this video, I'm going to show you how to build an automation that can generate viral faceless videos just like this. There's so many amazing creators out there doing some pretty incredible stuff with AI, and their videos just getting millions of views. So I built this automation to create these videos for you. You'll be able to follow along with me as we build this step by step together. But before we get into the build, let me show you how this thing works. Okay, so here we are in my viral video maker. I'll start a new full video, select some parameters over here to build out the scenes, select some preset prompts. I'll put in my text prompts to create this image in Midjourney, add cref URL, slide over and generate images. Got those images back from Midjourney. I'll select the one that I like, number 1, slide over, upscale image. We are upscaling that image. There's our upscale. I can set video prompts and generate video. And while that video is generating, I'm going to slide all the way back over, create a second scene, add in image prompts, add in my reference images for Midjourney, slide back over, generate images. Okay, we just got that first video back. Images for the second scene are back. Select the one that I like, number 3, slide over, click upscale image. Our upscaled image is back. Add my video prompts and generate video. That video is back. We're going to jump to the full videos tab and create video. Here it is. Our 2 scene video is finished and pretty amazing. So this build is highly customizable. I designed it to have all of your creation ideas in mind. You can load this thing up with a bunch of presets for your prompts, a bunch of preset reference images. There are separate tables for you to add prompts and tailor this machine to create the videos for your specific channels. By the way, if you want to check out my brand new school community, I will have these templates up there for free. You can jump in there, grab this Airtable base, grab the make automation, and just start making your videos right away. I'll put the link down in the description of this video. You can head there to check it out. Otherwise, let's get into the build. Okay, so we're going to start off in a tool called Airtable. Come down here to create a new base, start from scratch, close out some of these things that pop up over here, come up here to change the name to Viral Video Maker, and I can change the color. I like to start off with a completely blank table. I'm going to select these 3 fields, click on one of the fields to select it. Holding Shift on the keyboard, you can select multiple fields. Right click on any of them and click delete 3 fields. So I'll just delete those, come over to table, rename this table full videos. This is going to be where we start. I will double click on this first field right here, call this video title, save it. Then I'm going to expand my views over here. We have our standard grid view. We've got our first field called video title. I'm going to click this button a few times to add some new fields in here. This first one is going to be video orientation. It is a single select field. We're going to add some options, one called portrait, landscape, square. These are just some video orientations you can start with. Now we have our video orientation. I'll hit this plus to create a new field. Width, this will be a formula. Now the formula, you can just copy what I have here. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this from my other project. I'll paste that right in here. So you can pause the video, copy this exactly as I have it here. This is some code, so it does need all of these elements, the parentheses and the brackets and these things like this. Now, if you're like me and you hate typing things out to copy it, I'll show you a very handy quick hack here. Take a screenshot of this code right here. Come over to ChatGPT and load this screenshot right in there and say, please write this formula. There we go, perfectly written out. I'll copy that code, come back into my project, paste it again there. Create that field. Going to right click, duplicate field. This is going to be height for this formula. Copy and paste what I will paste here. There it is. Or you can simply change these values. It is just like the width, but we have switched the values around just a little bit right here. Save that one. We'll duplicate that field, call it aspect ratio. Same thing here. You can copy the information that I am putting in here. Again, just these values tweaked around a little bit to actually display the aspect ratio of those screen dimensions. So a little bit of trickery there. Let's create the next field. It's a checkbox. I like this little thumbs up. We'll call it create video, create field. Click the plus to add a field. This is an attachment. Name it full video file. Create the field. The last one for now will be a formula. This one's going to be the record ID. Just for creating automations and things, it's nice to have the record ID. So we have a built-in formula. If you just type in REC, it'll come up with that built-in formula for you right here. Click on that and then make sure to add the close parentheses there. Create the field, and now you can see our record IDs for these records pop up. I'm gonna delete these unused records, and that's it for the full videos tab for now. So let's get into the next table. Click the plus up here to create a table. We'll start from scratch. This will be the scenes table. Delete these 3 default fields. We have our grid view and our first field here. Let's name it scene name, single line text. Now we can start to add some fields in here to the scenes tables. The first fields I want to add are going to be from our full videos table. So I want to link to those other records. So I'll link to another record. We want the full videos table. We can link to multiple records and create this field. Let's find the fields we want to link to. We'll say video title, video orientation, width, height, and aspect ratio. Add those 5 fields. Now we have these populated in here from our full videos table, okay? Let's add something to our full videos table so we can see that auto-populate in the scenes table over here. So back into full videos table, let's add a new video. We can call this demo viral. We can add an orientation, say portrait. This will pop up with the width, the height, and the aspect ratio of a portrait orientation video. Let's look at the scenes tab. Now we need to bring in that video. So let's name our scene first scene. Let's check our full videos here. Let's add in that demo viral. Now we have the full video title and those elements right here in the scenes tab. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to add a new field and call this custom image prompts. This will be a long text. Create the field. Now we want to add our custom prompts here, but we also want to be able to stick in some pre-made prompts, some presets for the types of videos you want to make. So let's create a new table up here. We'll start from scratch, call this image prompts. Click save. We have our grid view. We have our 3 defaults fields. I'll delete those and I'll name this first field prompt name, single line text. You can add in the first prompt name here, photograph. Let's add in a second one, anime style, and we'll just say hyper realistic. Then we could add more standard prompts you would use for every type of video. Say you have a particular genre or style, cyberpunk, or we can call this one cyberpunk. Let's just call this one my standard viral. Okay, create a new field. We'll call this prompt label. This will be a single select drop down. We'll add an option for image, video, other. You can add all kinds of labels here. We'll just keep it at that prompt label, and we'll set this photograph 1 to image. We'll set this anime style to image, image, image. We'll create the prompt field, add a new field called prompt. This will be long text. This is where you type in the actual prompt. For photograph, I can type something like create a photograph of, create an anime stylized version of, right? This is where your prompt engineering can get pretty crazy, putting in these tags, these labels, to create these sort of presets here. Now for my standard viral, I can actually type in a whole prompt here. Let's do another little cheat. I want to show you this trick. Okay, so I want to create some image prompts and gather some C-refs. So I'm going to try and recreate this video right here from this creator. Really cool viral stuff, right? So let's take some screenshots of scenes here. Take that one, take that one, and that one. Let me get that second to last one in here, that one right there. I've got these screenshots. Okay, so I'm going back over to ChatGPT. Just going to bring in my 5 screenshots right here and copy and paste this prompt. You can grab this ChatGPT prompt right here. Okay, so image prompt 1, luxurious modern villa, inviting luxurious living room carved into a red rock canyon. These just look great I'm not going to get too crazy with it, but here we have our 5 prompts for this video. I'm going to copy and paste these back into my standard viral here. I'll just call this scene 1, and I'll paste that into this right here. There it is. And I'll go ahead and do the same thing for the other 4. Okay, and there I have my prompts ready to go. I'll just set these all to other. You can drag this little thing down, just like a Google Sheet. Add the next thing here. This table is finished, so we can come back to our scenes and we can create a link to that table. I'm going to create field, insert to the right of this aspect ratio right here. We want to link to another record. We're going to link to the image prompts. We'll link to multiple records. And we want the prompt name, the prompt label, and prompt. Okay, now we have inserted these 3 fields from the image prompts. So if I select in my first scene here, I select one of those image prompts. Let's do standard scene 1. All of those prompts get populated into our scene. We know that this is the prompt name. We know that this is the prompt label. We can just hide these 2 fields and just see our prompt. Let's go ahead and name that image prompt. Since we can reference it over here in this tab, if you want, we can also just hide that image prompt. I'm going to leave it up for now so we can see it. So we have our image prompt, scene 1, we have that prompt in there. And if we want to add a custom prompt, we can do that. Or if we want to add another image prompt, we can do that. So I think to show this off, let's choose a photograph, create a photograph of scene 1. And now we can see those 2 prompts, create a photograph of a luxurious modern villa integrated into a rocky landscape. There we go. The next thing we want to add to our prompt is the cref information. So we need to add a new table up here, come up here, hit the plus, start from scratch. And we'll call this cref. I'll delete the 3 default fields, leave the name the same. The next field is a URL. The next field is an attachment. We can name that field image. Okay, and the last field I like to put in here is a button. We'll create that field. It's a button field. I'm going to name the field post image. I'll label the button post image, change the style to light cyan. We want the action to open a URL. The URL formula is going to be the URL of this website called post image. So let's jump over there. You can Google post image. Here I am in my post image profile. Super simple to create a free profile and host your images here. So I've got a default folder and then the demo images. Let's take a look at that. I just create a new gallery, name that gallery, named it demo images, and uploaded the 5 screenshots, and we can get these URLs for each individual image to add to our crefs table. So I'm going to go back to my dashboard here. We need to create this button. And so I'm just going to copy and paste the URL here, grab that, jump back over to Airtable and paste that formula here. I'm going to put some quotation marks, and then in between the quotation marks, paste that URL there, then create the field. So this creates a button for us. And when we click this button, it'll take us to that website where we can find our cref images. Continue. I'm going to build this out with the names, URLs, and the reference images. First one, I can name these whatever I want. So I'm going to name it outside. Next one is living room. All right, got my 5 rooms. I'm going to copy and paste each of those URLs. Let's go back to post image. I grab my first scene, that is the outside. There's a little button to share. We want to hit that share button and grab the direct link, copy that, come back into Airtable and paste that URL right there. We can see that PNG URL right there. I'm going to do that for the other 4. There they are. Next, drop in the actual images. I want to be able to reference the images at a glance so I know what these URLs are actually referencing. So I will just drag and drop the screenshots in here. So here's my outside view screenshot. I can just drag and drop it into that field there, and I'll do that for the other 4. There we go. Images loading up here. If we want to see these a little bit better, just come up to this button here. We can expand the row height to extra tall. That lets us see these images at a glance. and we can have a better view of the thumbnail. That is it for our C-refs. Let's head back into the scenes table. I'm going to right click on image prompt, say insert right, and we need to link to that other record in our table, C-refs, multiple records, and create that field. We want the name, URL, and image, and create fields. Now we have our C-refs. Let's populate this for this first scene. Let's add in that outside view C-ref right here. That populates the name. We don't necessarily need this name if we have it right here, but it is able to reference. We've got the URL from C-refs and we've got the image from C-refs. The next we're going to create is our custom C-refs. Now the whole point of doing this C-ref table is that we can load this with a bunch of C-refs that will used in all types of our prompts. Okay, I'm creating something very specific here. So these URLs, I would just add to my custom C-ref field, right? Just copy and paste that URL into my custom C-ref field. Done and done. It's something very specific. The reason we built out this table is because you can have some very generic C-refs like a castle. You know, this is where you're going to be putting all of your character references, right? You can take advantage of Midjourney's consistent character creation, load this thing up with all of your character references, right? And so this is what this C-ref table is actually for, not necessarily these very specific scenes. But again, I'm just loading up these specific scenes here for this demo. Now let's go back to that one, make sure our custom C-ref is actually a long text and not a URL. The reason I like to use the long text is because you can put multiple URLs into the same field. All right, so long text. The next field is going to be the image command. Now in Midjourney, you have your prompt, then you have your parameters that creates a command, which is essentially the entire thing with all of the parameters put together. So that's what we need to do right here. We need to put our prompts in with our C-refs. This image command, double click to change it to a formula, and we can copy and paste the correct formula into this section. So go ahead, pause the video, type this out, do the ChatGPT trick, and we'll continue on. Click save, convert if you have to. And now if we take a look at the command, we see everything listed. We have our first image prompt, we have our second image prompt from our presets, and then we have the C-ref being added correctly to what Midjourney can recognize and that URL for that C-ref. So that's our full image command. We wanted to add any custom C-refs, like I said, we copy and paste them right here. That gets added to our C-refs right there. That was the hard part. I'm going to breeze through these next ones pretty quickly. Let's create a new field, call it image task ID, single line. Next one is image, that's an attachment. Next one is image selector. That is a single select dropdown. Our options are going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Create the field. Next one is going to be upscale task ID, single line text. Create the field. Next one, upscaled image. It's an attachment. Create the field. Then the next one, we need to add our video prompts to start making our videos. So let's create a new table up here. We'll start from scratch, call this video prompts. We'll delete the 3 default fields. First field is called motion type, single line text. Next field, that is a single select dropdown. We have video. I like to make these my prompt labels. Prompt label, video, and this is more so just a visual, nothing more than that. I can see, okay, it's a video prompt label, and this will be our prompt. This is a long text. This is where we can type in any of the movement direction. So I can say zoom in, that's my motion type, and type something out like that. Dynamically zoom into the scene. So we can add our motion types here. Just say animate elements. This is video, animate elements in the image to have realistic motion. Very generic stuff, right? So we can add multiple tags, multiple motion types to our video prompts, as well as a custom video prompt. So that's it for the video prompts for now. You can fill this thing out with all types of motion. We'll come back to our scenes and we'll link to another record. Video prompts allow linking to multiple records. We'll say motion type, prompt label, and prompt. Add those 3 fields. Now we can see our video prompts. We can add in our video prompts here. Zoom in. We can, since this is the same name, we can leave the name in here, or we can go ahead, hide that field. We have that prompt right there. Prompt label, video. Now, same thing with the images. We don't necessarily need all of these labels and things put up here. So the reason I put that label is because I like to see it in this dropdown. It's going to show me that label. That way I'm not confused. I'm not accidentally putting in different prompts. I see it's a video prompt when I select that prompt, okay? We don't need to see that again in our table here. So I'm just going to hide that field, and we can see that prompt. From video prompts, dynamically zoom in to the scene. The next one will be our custom video prompt, where we can manually type in anything we want for a specific scene. For example, I could say animate the water in this pool, very specific things, make the water move, you know, make these lights blink. The next few we will breeze through. This will be the Luma Labs task ID. That is a single line text. Create the field. Video file, that's an attachment. Create the field. Then we have generation actions. This is a single select, add actions. First one is idle. Next one is generate images from Midjourney, those 4 initial images, then upscale image, then generate video, create the field. By the way, if you want to scroll really easily back and forth through your table, hold shift on your keyboard, scroll up and down on the mouse wheel. That's going to make your life a lot easier navigating your tables. After generate actions, we have status. That is a single select drop down. Add idle, generating images, upscaling image, generating video, and video complete. If you want to change the color of any of these, click the circle. You can change the color of the label. Create the field. Almost done here, guys. We've made it. The last one is going to be record ID. That is a formula. We can find the built-in, typing REC. There it is. Make sure to add the closing parentheses at the end and create the field. All right, we've done it. Congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back. We have built out the Airtable. Now we can start the automation. So I just want to point out that if you're truly interested in learning this stuff, it's extremely beneficial to work from a template. So again, I do have this Airtable base up for free in my brand new school community. So if you want to grab my Airtable base and use it as a reference for building this out alongside me, then feel free, jump over there, grab this base and use it to follow along with. Definitely helpful if you run into any errors down the line. You can just take a look at mine and see what's going on and make some adjustments to your own build if you have to. Okay, so before we get into the automation, let's clean up our space a little bit. I went ahead, renamed this grid view to all data. This will keep track of all of our fields. In fact, we want to show some of these fields back up here. So all data, show these fields. We can come up to this button right here to hide and show fields. And let's just show everything. You can also say show all. This is all of our data. We want to create a specialized view here. Let's come down to this button and create a new scene grid and call this scenes, create new view. Now we're going to hide some things from this view so that it reads a lot better. We have access to fields that we need and not the ones that we don't. So come up here to the hide fields button and we'll just go through this list together. We're going to hide video title field. We'll hide width, height, aspect ratio, prompt name, prompt labels, hide image, task ID, upscale task ID. Let's go down and take a look. We'll hide motion type, prompt label, Luma Labs, task ID, and record ID. So that's removing some of these fields from our view here. Let's jump into Make and start these automations. So here we are in Make. I'm going to create a new scenario, come up and name this scenario Viral Video Maker. Hit save and start off with our first module. The first module is going to be the webhooks module, custom webhook, and we want to add a new one. Just click save and that'll generate this webhook for us right here. Make sure to hit OK and save. So that'll be the webhook for this entire automation. We'll trigger that in Airtable. So let's jump back over to Airtable. Come up here. We have our data fields. Click on automations. Click up here to rename this automation. Name it generate images. Hit enter. Now we have our new automation. We can come over here to add a trigger. I'm going to trigger this when a record matches conditions. Okay, when a record matches conditions from the scenes table, those conditions are when the image command is not empty. This is our final prompt, so we want to make sure we have a final prompt, and when generation actions is generate images. So when we want to generate images and we have a prompt, this automation will trigger. And so when this triggers, we can run a script. Okay, I'm going to come in here to this script and just delete out what we have it in here and copy and paste the new script from my other project. Here it is. You can pause the video, and we're going to be adding some variables into this input variable section over here. So I'll click add input variable. The first variable is going to be this underlined one right here. You want to make sure you copy and paste that exactly the way it is, that variable name. The value for this variable is going to be that webhook URL. So let's jump back into make, click on the webhook, and we can copy that address, click OK, back to Airtable, paste that address right in there. Let's add another variable. Next variable is record ID. Let's grab record ID, copy it, paste it into here. And the value for record ID, if we click the little blue button here, that value is going to be our Airtable record ID. Let's click add input variable one more time. The last variable we need is this action right here. Copy that as it is, paste it right there. And the value is generate images. And you want to type this in just like this, lowercase g, uppercase I. This is a variable. One word should look just like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish editing this script. Let's go down to the next piece of logic here. Once we run that script, we want to update a record. The record we want to update is from table scenes. The record ID, click the little button, is the Airtable record ID. Choose a field. That field is going to be status. Set the status to generating images. Hit run as configured. Come up here, flip on this automation right here. Let's come back into make, run this scenario with this webhook we have here. So I'll hit save, going to hit run once. This will look for that input from us, come back into Airtable, jump into our automation, click that run a script, and we can test the action right here. It's going to notify us 2 steps will be tested. Click run test, and you'll see that we have no records matching that. So come back into data. We want to create that record that matches that. So what we need to check for are those parameters we set. Is there something in image command? Yes, there is. Is generation actions set to generating images? No, it's not. So let's set that to generate images. Jump into automations, run a script, and scroll down. We can test the action. Run the tests. It'll find that record. Click on that record, and that test will go through. Let's jump back into make. We can see now that our webhook found that record ID and that action variable. So we can continue on with the next module. The next module is going to be Airtable. We want to get a record. We're going to need to set up a new connection for this Airtable base. Okay, so click add, set the connection type always to OAuth. We can name the connection. I'll just name it the same as my table, viral video maker. Click save. It's going to ask for authorization. We want to add a base, find our base, grant access. Now we have access to our base. We can choose that base, viral video maker, table, scenes, and we can pull the record ID from that webhook. Click on this option, record ID. All right, hit OK, click save. Now we can add the next module. Next module is going to be HTTP. You can type in the search bar, HTTP. We want to make a request. And so we need a URL to make a request to this API that will have Midjourney generate these images for us. We're going to be using this tool called Go API. Go API is a third-party service. So you want to read all the documentation on all these tools. Make sure you're reading up on how to work with them. You will need to throw some credits in here, and we can use this API for Midjourney and Luma Labs. So back into make.com, we're going to add that URL from Go API for the Midjourney API. So you can just copy what I have right here. This is from Go API to talk to Midjourney. Just as it is for the method here, we need to click post. We need to add some headers. Again, this is just Go API stuff. You can type in x-api-key. And this is where we need to enter in your API key for Go API. So in Go API, you can create your API key. Once you have your API key, we can copy and paste that into this section right here. So I will paste my key and blur it out. Then for the body type, we need raw. And for the content type, we need JSON. For the request content, we'll put a script in here. There it is. So you can pause the video, get that in there. Now, in between these quotation marks, we're going to put some of these items from Airtable in here. So between the quotes right here, we add our image command. That's our prompt. For the aspect ratio, we want to add aspect ratio. We want to click on the little drop down right here and actually get that value of the aspect ratio. Okay, and then in between these quotes, we need to create that webhook endpoint back in Airtable. So let's just finish off this HTTP real quick by hitting this option for parse response. Yes, click OK, save that for now, jump back into Airtable, and we need to create that webhook. So I'm going to create an automation. Let's create a new one called image webhook. For this one, we will add a trigger when webhook received. This will generate this example webhook for us. Let's just copy that, jump back into make, come to our HTTP module, and in between these quotes right here, paste that webhook. Click OK, come down, click save, run this once. It's going to ask if you want to wait for new data or use existing data. Let's go ahead and wait for new data. This will have the webhook wait for our response. Come back into Airtable, come back into the automations, click on generate images, click on run a script, and scroll down. We can test the action here. So that'll run through that, jump back into make. We can see this happen. It'll go through the webhook, Airtable, and then come to the HTTP module. Looks like everything was good. Awesome. Let's move on to our next module. This is going to be Airtable, update a record. Let's choose an account, viral video maker. Now it's going to ask you to update your permissions. We only have this accessing half of our permissions, so we need to let it access the other half of our permissions. Grant access to viral video maker base. So we've got our connection finished. We can find our base, viral video maker, set the table to scenes, set the record ID all the way down to the original record ID from the webhook. And we want to update the image task ID with the data we got from our API request. So we want to go into the data task ID. There it is. Click OK. Great. Click save. And now we can test out this automation. Let's run once, wait for new data, come into Airtable, generate images, run a script, test the action, jump back into make. We can see it come through. There it is. So the last thing we need to do is put that image from Midjourney into our table. Let's jump back into Airtable, into the webhook, image webhook, and we'll finish out this automation here. So when the webhook is received, we're going to find a record. That record is from our scenes table. We'll find records based on a condition. We'll add a condition where image task ID is equal to, we need to populate this field here so we can come to the little gear, click that, click dynamic, and now we have a little blue box we can click on here. Our image task ID is the body task ID. So we found our record. Let's finish this off. We can update that record in the table scenes. Record ID is going to be that record ID from the find records, the one we just found. Click on that, scroll down, and we want that Airtable record ID. Okay, the field we're going to update is the status field, the generate actions field, generation actions field, and the image. Okay, the status is easy. That's going to be set back to idle. The generation actions is set to idle, and the image is going to be from the webhook, the body from the task results, and we want that image URL. Go ahead, flip this automation on. We want to flip on the image webhook right there. Come back into the data and make sure generating images, we can set this back to idle, set status back to idle. Now let's test out this full automation, double check what we have in make. Let's just save that. We need to flip on this automation. We can delete the old, let's delete it and back out so we can see the scenario running in the panel on the side. Back into Airtable, set generation actions to generate images. This will trigger the automation. It's going to set the status to generating images. There it is. And we can go into our Go API dashboard, check the tasks, and see that our Midjourney request is processing. So when this is finished, that image will pop up into our Airtable base. Generation actions just got set to idle, status just got set to idle, and our image just popped up into our image field. Let's take a look, expand our rows, click this little button here, and set our rows to be extra tall. That gives us a better view. Take a glance at our images here. So I'll take a look. Very interesting. Let's move on to the next portion of our automation. We have our images. Let's jump back into make. We need to set up the next route of this automation. This section here is going to handle just generating images. We're going to make a whole new section to handle upscaling the images. So let's bring this out a little bit just to make some space, and we can right click on this route to add a router. This router can route to our first path. If we click the router and the plus button, we can set our second route and start this upscale automation. So instead of clicking that second route out like that, just going to clone this Airtable module. It's going to stay exactly the same because we need all of these same base, scenes, and record ID. So we'll keep that one the same. I'll come down here, hit the auto align button so we can align and organize our modules a little more neatly. But we need to make an important gate right here, a filter. So we click on the little wrench right here. We set up a filter. This is where we put conditions for these routes and when they should perform. This first one, we want to set that action variable that we established early on to generate images variable right here. So I'll just type in exactly as it shows there, or in other words, exactly as I'm typing it. No typos here or it won't work. Generate images, lowercase g, uppercase I, one word. That is our variable. We want to make sure we're spelling that correctly. Hit OK, and we can create our second filter down here. This condition, our action variable, is set to upscale image, spelled just like that. Click OK. Let's jump back into Airtable, and we can set up that route. Jump into the automations, and we're going to create another automation. Let's name this upscale image. I want to just rearrange my list right here. I'll bring generate images down, keep my webhooks on top. Click add a trigger. When a record matches conditions, select the table, scenes, select the conditions. When image is not empty, we want to make sure we have an image to upscale, and image selector is not empty. We've actually chosen the image we want to upscale. Click add a condition, and upscaled image is empty. There's nothing there. We haven't performed this yet. Click add a condition, and generation actions is set to upscale image. Okay. So we don't have any records. If we go to choose a record, we don't have any records with those settings just yet. So before we get farther along, let's just jump back to the data and let's set our generation actions to upscale image. That way we're ready to go, and we'll select an image from the generated images. I will choose number 1. I'll click on the image selector, choose image number 1. So now we are primed for this automation. Let's jump back into automations. Now, if we click choose a record, we can see that we have that record set and primed for us. Click on it, choose that one, and we can set some more logic here. When we meet those conditions, we will run a script. This script is the exact same script as the other. So jump back into generate images. Your automation isn't live. Don't show this again, and I'll do this later. Okay. We want to jump back into generate images, click on edit code. That'll bring us back to our script here. I'll copy this script, finish editing, back to upscale image, run a script, edit code, and paste that in here. Okay, so same thing. We need to create these variables that have this scribble underneath them. I'll click add input variable, copy and paste that webhook value, same as before. We can jump back to make. Click on our webhook over here, copy that address, paste it in there. Let's add a variable, copy record ID, paste that value, click the button, is Airtable record ID, add a variable, copy action, paste, and action is upscale image. That's our variable we already put into the filter in make. That is our script. Let's finish editing that and come to the last automation. We update a record, the table, scenes, the record ID is the record ID. The field we want to update is status, and the status will be set to upscaling image. Good, we can flip this automation on right here. Jump into make and build this thing out. So we have our same module to get our record. I'm going to clone this HTTP module, drop it down here, and just tweak a few parameters in this. So we still have our Go API up here, but we need to change the last piece right here. So you can copy and paste exactly what I have here. We're changing that last bit to the upscale operation. Method is post X API key for the name and your same API key pasted in there. For the body type, raw. For the content type, JSON application. Let's come in here and just delete all of this. And you can copy this text in here. Make sure parse response is yes and hit OK. We're going to jump back into Airtable and set up that webhook. Let's create the upscale webhook. Duplicate this automation. Change the name to upscale webhook. On this automation, when webhook is received, and we can copy this example webhook right there. Jump back into make. Let's go ahead and in between the quotes, paste that endpoint. Let's fill out the rest of these things too. So for the index, in between the quotes here, this is where we're going to put the image selector. And for the origin task ID, we are going to put image task ID. There it is. Hit OK. I'm going to come down, hit save. I'm going to run once. Let's jump back into Airtable. Inside of our automations tab, come to upscale image, click on run a script, scroll down and test action. Jump back into make. We can watch this come through, hit our filters and decide to go down this route. Come into HTTP. Looks good. Let's add the next Airtable module. I'll come up and clone this one, drop it down here. Same base, same table, same record ID. We're going to change the image task ID. We don't want that. We want the upscale task ID. So we can find the data task ID. Click OK, click save. Let's come back to Airtable. Let's finish out this webhook. We want to find the record scenes condition. And we can delete this condition right here. Delete this one out, add a new condition where the upscale task ID is. We need to fill out this portion here. So we click on the little gear, click dynamic, click the little plus, is the body task ID. We actually want to come and change this record limit. We can set that to 1. That's what we forgot to do in the image webhook over here. Let's come back to the image webhook, set that record limit to 1. We can hit update right there. Jump back into the upscale webhook and we'll finish updating this record. We're in the scenes table. We want that record ID. We're going to set the status and the generation fields to idle, but we're going to get rid of this image and we're going to set the upscale. Choose the field, upscaled image. There it is. Click the button and we want in the webhook body, find the task result and the image URL. Okay, looks good. We can hit run as configured, flip on this webhook, jump back into the data and run this again. So I'm just going to set it back to idle, the generation actions here, then upscale image. Let's jump back over to make, watch this one go down this chain here. It's going to end up down the second chain. There we go, it came through. Let's take a look. Pop back over to Airtable. We see that we are upscaling our image now, and we can wait for that one to come through. There it is. Let's take a look. Perfect. So now we have our upscaled image. We can continue on building out this automation. Let's jump back into make, create our next module off of this router. So I'm going to clone this one right here, stick it to our router, and set the filter, set action to generate video. That's our variable name. Click the auto align. For our next module, I'm going to clone this HTTP module into it. We're going to change the URL up here. You can copy this new URL, this one here. We're going to Luma Labs and we're generating a video. Same API key. Mine is blurred out. Double check what we got down here. Let's go ahead and delete everything in the request content. Copy what I have here. Now let's add in some of these details here. Again, in between the quotation marks for prompt. We're going to add the prompt from video prompts, and we want to make sure we add this value in here. We're also going to add the custom video prompt, but first just hit space on the keyboard. We're going to put a space in between these two prompts. Custom video prompt. Then for the image URL, we're going to put the upscaled image URL. And make sure we are hitting yes to parse the response. Click OK, and let's move on to the rest of this chain. This chain is going to be a little bit different. We've got to put a process in here that's going to check for this video and see if it's ready or not. It's a little bit different than our other two routes up here. Let's add the next module. It's going to be a repeater. You can come down here to flow control, click repeater. Just put in these values here, 1 and 10. Okay, go to the next module. It's going to be tools, get a variable, call that variable status. Move on to the next module. It's going to be tools. We're going to set a delay. Click sleep. We'll set this delay to 2 minutes. So it's going to wait 2 minutes. Check for that video. If it's not ready, it'll wait another 2 minutes and check for that video. So our next module is going to be HTTP. We're going to make a request. This one's going to be a little bit different. The URL is going to be this URL right here, but we also need to add some data into this URL section. We don't currently have any data, so we're going to have to run this automation to get some of that data. Let's fill in the rest of this module. So we're going to leave the method to get. Put our headers in here, x-api-key. Go ahead and paste your API key. Mine is there. I'll blur it out. For the body type, we leave empty. Parse response is a yes. Click OK. So this one isn't finished. We're going to get an error when we run this, but let's go ahead and set up our automation inside of Airtable. Let's jump back into Airtable, come to automations, and we're going to build our generate video automation. So to save us some time on this one, let's just right click this upscale image, duplicate it. You can rename this to generate video. This first trigger when a record matches condition. Set some conditions in here in the scenes table. Let's go ahead and just get rid of all those. Click add a condition again. And this one, we want to say that when upscale image is not empty and generation actions is generate video. Let's jump back into the data and set up that primer there. Now we have that one set to generate video. Come back into the automation, generate video, and choose a record. We should see that record pop up. Click on the next section, run a script. We need to change this variable should be generate video. Okay, then we can update the record. We'll change that to generating video. Run as configured. I'll go ahead and flip this one on, come back into the data, and I noticed something kind of funny here. I just want to change this action to generate video ... Let's save that. Great. So now we can run this automation to generate the video. Let's jump into Make, come down, run once. Let's jump back into Airtable, to the automations, run a script, and click test action. Okay, so that came through. We knew we were going to get this error. So let's check it out. 404 not found. We haven't put anything in there yet. Let's just go for a look here. We grab the data from this HTTP request over here. So we need to put after this slash the data task ID. That is the task we're checking on. Hit OK. Now I'm going to do one more thing with this module. I'm going to come into this first HTTP module here and grab some data. We're going to look down into the output, data, grab this task ID. Come back to this module. I'm going to right click on it, say run this module only, and paste that task ID right there. Let that module run once. Okay. Now that we ran that module by itself, we've got that task ID. It's gone all the way through now properly. We've rerun this with the appropriate data in here. So now we can move on to our next module. This is going to be Airtable, update a record, select the connection, select the base, select the table, scenes, select the record ID all the way down from the first webhook. We're going to update the video file. Let's add that item. And we want to put the file URL in here. We need the data generation video URL. Then we need to update generation actions. We're going to unmap generation actions to idle status. We're going to unmap, set to idle, and update the Luma Labs task ID with the data task ID. Click OK. And finally finish off with a tools module. We're going to set the variable. Variable name is status. Set it to completed. I'm just going to show advanced settings here and say one execution. Click OK. And now we need to put a couple filters in here just to check on this variable and keep this loop going again. So we need a filter right here. We need to say if status is not equal to completed. If we're not equal to completed, then we will move on and run that 2-minute delay. And the other filter we're going to put is right here. Click on the wrench, set up a filter. We're going to check the actual data status. We'll check if it is completed. So there's one thing I noticed, double checking my other project, and it's in the filter right here. Let's jump back into there before we turn this thing on. We want to get the status from the previous module status. Let's just click that from the options right here. Click OK, click save. Let's back out. Let's jump back into Airtable. We just want to make sure generate video is on. Let's jump into the data. Let's set it back to idle. And once we set it to generate video, this automation should kick off. So generate video. Let's jump into make. Watch this one run through this chain here, right? We've hit that 2-minute delay. So I'll go ahead, just wait for that to run through and check to see if our video is done. That ran through. We've got that new record in our Airtables. Again, if you're coming up with any weird errors here, struggling to troubleshoot this automation, I have this template up inside my new school community. You can jump over there, grab this template for free. If you truly want to learn this stuff, I highly recommend working from a template. That way you can compare and contrast what you have with what is already built out. Everything in these chains, and including the next one we're going to build, is already put together and built for you inside that template. You can load it up in here and take a look. So let's jump over to Airtable. There's our video file. Not bad. We can probably engineer this prompt a little bit better, but we got some camera motion. We can fix that up in the prompt engineering. So we did it. We completed this entire automation chain here. We can generate these short clips from our images. The last thing we need to do is put together our full finished movie. Remember, this was only the first scene, so we can build out a few more scenes we have those 5 scenes to work with. So I'll just enter these in here pretty quickly. Let's call this second scene, choose our demo viral video, choose our image prompts and pre-built out prompts here. So let's add those. I'm going to add photograph of standard scene 2, cref, the living room. Custom cref we don't need. We've got our image command with the cref parameter and the URL. Let's head over to the generation actions and create that image. We are generating those images. If we check our Go API task status here, we'll just refresh this. We can see we have a new Midjourney Imagine process. This one is happening right now. So when this is finished, we can see that in our table. There we go. Got our image coming through. Very cool. Oh man, let's go with number 1. Number 1, come over to the generation actions, upscale image. There we go. These fields update and we got our upscaled image. Amazing. So I don't really know how I want to animate this one. So I'm not going to put any prompts in for this one and just have Luma Labs give it a shot. I'll hit generate video. I'm going to generate the rest of these images and finish out the rest of these scenes. Get all these scenes in here and then we can finish the last bit of this automation. So there I've got the video here. I've got these images generating all simultaneously. Once these finish up, I'll continue generating and we'll have a finished 5 scenes for our video. Guys, this is a game changer. So fast, so easy to use. Once you've got this in your hands, this will speed up your video content creation process, making all those amazing viral videos. You can put in any prompts you want, engineer those prompts however you want, find the reference images that you like, and just start creating once you have this tool. Absolute game changer. So all of these videos are generating. We should be good to start the last part of this automation. Congratulations, we are doing this thing. Let's get it done. So in the full videos now, this is where we want to compile everything and generate a full single video right here, clicking this button. Okay, so let's clean this up a little bit. Come up to hide fields. Let's hide the width, the height, and the record ID. Leave the rest here. Okay, so we've got a nice compact view. We've got our scenes. Add a new field. It's a lookup from scenes. We want to look up the video file. Okay, so this will show us all the video files and we can rename this video clips. We can see all of the video clips from the scenes has finished. Here are all 5 of those right there. Click this little button to expand the row. We get a better visual on what these things are. We can come back into make and finish out the 4th and final chain of this automation. Create a new route, right click on this module and clone. We'll snap it down here and attach it to the router, move it over, auto align that button. We need to come in here and change the table to full videos. Hit OK. And the next module is an iterator. We're going to combine 5 separate videos into one video. So we're going to iterate through all of those videos. So for the array, we're going to put our video clips and we want all of our clips. So we can put that entire array, click OK. The next module is JSON. You can type in JSON. We're going to create a JSON. Let's go ahead and add a data structure. Let's name this viral JSON to video. Click this button right here to generate. Now we need to put in some sample data. The sample data is just going to represent all the fields we need to edit. So we can copy and paste from this document I've put together. You can click the link in the description to get to this Google Doc and you'll see it labeled out where you can grab this text. Okay, so this is the Google Doc right here. You're going to want to copy this first piece right here, viral JSON to video scene. Grab that, jump back into make and paste that in the sample data. Click generate, click save, and we can enter in the elements down here. So for the source, I'm going to put URL. For the type in video. For the zoom, type in 0. For the width, we're going to come grab the width, height, and the duration is -1. This is basically saying use the full thing. And the position is center-center. Click OK. Let's create a new module, JSON. We want to parse JSON. We don't need a data structure here. We just want that JSON string. Click OK, come down, hit save, save anyway, jump back into Airtable. Right, so let's add the automation to generate the full video. I'm gonna come to the generate video automation here, right click, click duplicate. We can rename this to generate full video. We want to change these parameters here. So let's change the trigger, set the table to full videos, and we can delete all of these broken conditions. Come in, add a condition when video clips is not empty. We want our video clips, add a condition, and create video is checked. So come back to the data and check create video. Back to automations, click choose record, and that record will pop up there for us. Click that. Now let's go to the next automation to run script. This one should be the same, but we want the action to be generate full video, this variable right here. Let's move on to the last automation here. We can set the table to full videos. Let's delete these broken fields. We're going to use that same Airtable record. And for the field, we simply want to uncheck create videos. Flip this automation on. Before I do that, I'll come to the data, uncheck create video, back to automations, and flip on this automation. Let's go back to make. We need to run this automation once so that everything comes through and we can finish out our chain here. So run once. Run anyway, webhook is waiting, jump into Airtable, and I will check this box right there. Let's look at what's happening in make. This should come through and looks like we got it, but I noticed something right here. We need to add this filter on this route right here, just in case. We want to make sure that we are filtering only that create full video variable. Now it worked anyway because all of these were untrue, but we want to make sure that this one is true. So I'll click that little wrench, set up a filter, set our condition, our action variable, generate full video, small g, capital F, capital V, one word. Click OK, and let's take a look at what came through here. We just want that data to complete our next module. That next module is going to be the aggregator, and now we have the elements come in from that array. So we want to aggregate from a specific iterator. So I'm going to come over here and select my source, that is iterator, and we'll check the elements. Click OK. Move on to the next module, it's a JSON, create a JSON, and click add. We can name this, I'll name this viral JSON to video full video. Click this button right here to generate. We need to add in the sample data. Let's take a look at that Google Doc, and we need all of this right here. Going to copy that, come back to make, and I'll paste all of that stuff right in here. Click generate, click save, and now we have all of those elements that we can mess with in this JSON. So for the ID, we need that record ID. For the frames per second, I'm going to type in 30. For the cache, click no. Drafts, no. Width, we're going to put in our width again. Height. For the scenes, we need to click this button right here to map it, and we're going to use our entire array here. For the exports, let's add the items, the destinations, and the type is going to be webhook. Content type, I want to type in application JSON, and for the endpoint, let's jump back over to Airtable and build a full video webhook. We'll duplicate this upscale webhook, rename it to full video webhook. We can come in here, copy this example webhook. Let's jump back into make, and we can paste that in the endpoint right here. Okay, next for quality, just type in high, and for resolution, type in custom. These are all settings from JSON to video. You can mess around with JSON to video and find out what all this stuff actually means. But for now, just type it in this way, and we have these settings taken care of for us. Click OK on that. Let's add another module. This is going to be HTTP, and we're going to make a request now to JSON to video. So here we are at jsontovideo.com. You can check out all the documentation, figure out how all this stuff works. I'm going to go to my profile. You want to create a profile so that you can create your API key. So here on my dashboard, we can check out a few things. When you create your profile, they will email you your API key. They only give it to you one time. You'll have to make a new one if you lose it, so make sure you write down that API key. So with that key now, we can come back into our HTTP module. We want to type in this URL. You can copy this one exactly. We want to post for the headers. Let's type in that same x-API-key. And for the value, this is where you'll paste your JSON to video API key. So I'll paste mine in there and blur it out. For the rest of the settings here, for body type, we want raw. For content type, we want JSON, application JSON. And for the request content, we're simply going to add that JSON string. Finally, we want to parse response. Yes. Click OK, click save. Now, before we run this, let's set up our last final piece. This is it. Congratulations. We're at the home stretch. Let's jump back into Airtable. Let's come to our full video webhook. Finish out this automation. We can get rid of this action here and just update a record. I want to update my full videos table and just delete all of these broken fields. I'll get rid of everything here, everything in red. We don't have a webhook being received. We don't have any information coming back into here. So we're going to run our automation. So let's jump back to make. Click save one more time. Click run once. Come into Airtable. Let's go to our generate full video, run a script, scroll down, and we'll test the action right here. Let's come back to make and watch this one come through. There it goes all the way to the end. So now we have that webhook coming all the way back. Let's come back into Airtable, go to our full video webhook, test the trigger, and there it is, successful. We found that webhook. So let's continue on to update this record. We now have the body and we want the ID. Okay, then we update the field. We'll choose the field. We want to update the full video file, and that video file is going to be in the webhook body. Scroll down to the URL. Okay, click run as configured. Make sure you flip on this webhook automation. Double check all your automations are on. Let's jump back to the data and let's click create video. If we jump into make now, we'll see that one running through. There it goes. And now it's in JSON to video, putting that video together and already done. There it is. Let's check it out. Here's our full finished AI video made with automation. Now we've got such a great blank canvas here to add music to. You can add captions to. You can do whatever you want with this. We got an amazing pan on this bedroom. Look at that information filling in right there. Incredible pillar being generated. That is super cool. Excellent movement on this dining area. That is incredible. So there you have it. That is the final product. So there it is, all yours to play with. Again, you can tailor this thing to fit just your specific styles to produce the types of videos that you want to create for your channels. I would love to see some of the videos you can make with this, so feel free to reach out. That's it for this one. Thank you for making it this far through this video. Congratulations on your viral video maker. I'll put a link to my brand new school community where I'm going to be putting all of these templates up for free. You can get in there, grab the Airtable base, start using it, grab the make automation, start using it right away. So thanks again. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.